a lot of people are still getting type 2 diabetes, which is, chronic disease, very problematic disease. People with type 2 diabetes lose on average 10 years in terms of average lifespan that they lose because of this condition. And actually, we started working on what we're working right now because we believe that there is no one size fits all. So the answer will be for sure that there's no one size fits all. Like you can see it already in the research papers. Like, yeah.
Man, I have so much to talk about, so many questions. Let's see. Let me maybe start with this one question, and feel free to interrupt. Feel free to jump in. I get really excited as well, myself. So it's fine. No, but I was reading how a couple of months ago you said that with productivity, you like to do the smallest, easiest thing first. And I read this in your newsletter, and I started doing this too. And I don't know, it's been working really well for me. So I basically counterintuitively, I don't do my deep work first thing, but I do like all the shitty stuff.
Yeah.
And then I get so much momentum,
Yeah. So look, my take on productivity is paradoxical, because I both think that people are talking about it too much, but I still love to talk about it. So it's weird. Like my take is that so much of the general advice is bullshit, because you just need to find what works for you. And just productivity porn is so attractive. Like you see these perfect to-dos, this perfect system, the getting things done and so on. Some people have great success with that, but for me, it never worked to take something that was already pre-made. So I tested a lot of things. And yeah, I must admit that I don't like starting the day with, like this gigantic thing that I need to do. I like to start gradually, just get the momentum going. Like do some small things, maybe do some emails, things like that. I have very very little success if I try to do the biggest thing immediately. And usually I have a moment in the day where I feel that I can do the biggest thing, and then I do it. But I don't plan so much. Like I have general idea of the things that need to be done, the meetings that need to be done. But on top of that, I also follow how I feel during the day. And for me, it works like that. I know that some other people need to have this very rigid day, but it's not for me.
Yeah. And like it works like a charm, because I used to do this thing called time boxing, where basically you say whatever from 9 to lunchtime for, I don't know, 4 hours, you do your one big thing, and you put your phone away. But yeah, your approach works really well for me, so I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah.
So we're talking about traveling and nomadism and all of that. With your startup that you're building, maybe talk to us about, first of all, what it is you're building and why you're building it, and then how easy or difficult it is to do this remotely.
Yeah, great question. So yeah, basically, so at Lifetizer, I mean, we're gonna change name very soon. So it's gonna be Vital Health, new branding coming soon. Stay tuned. But yeah, what we're building is basically, if you really want to have like the real product that we're going after, is that we're building the Strava for health. I don't know if you're using Strava for running and cycling, but it's basically the central app for your physical activities. And in our case, we're building Strava for health optimization. So everything related to your health in an optimized and preventive approach. However, so we are starting with blood glucose levels integration. So we help people, get their blood glucose levels and optimize their metabolism. That's what we're doing right now. And we are in closed beta. So, if people want to try it, they can sign up for early access. And yeah, so the reason why we started working on that with my co-founder Ayoub is that, we have been super into health optimization for a long time, and we tried every single wearable, try every single diet. We were training together, reading the papers, got interested in longevity, and we knew we wanted to build a company together. It was very clear. Initially, we started working on a digital therapy for prediabetes, something similar to Omada Health or Live On Go, but for the European market. But as we were working on that, I couldn't stop thinking, why are so many people getting here in the first place? Like, why aren't we asking the question of, okay, now we're trying to help people reverse prediabetes, but why are so many people getting there in the first place? So, I was talking with a lot of people with diabetes, and a lot of them were wearing continuous glucose monitors. So I started to, get interested in the device. And I basically came to the conclusion that if more people had access to this device, we could prevent a lot of people from getting pre-diabetes or diabetes. And this was obviously not my own idea. I mean, a lot of people in the space were saying that for already a long time. But it started to make sense for me. So I went and bought some CGN for myself, and I was absolutely shocked because I discovered that I myself was on the verge of pre-diabetes, like almost at pre-diabetes level. So really, it was a wake-up call for me. I started to see that what I believed to be a very healthy nutrition and diet was actually really not good for my blood glucose levels, giving me huge blood glucose spikes on a daily basis. So at that point, we decided with Ayoub, my co-founder, to pivot and really address the problem in a preventive way and empower people with the data and the biofeedback from their body, so they can make the right choices and avoid getting any type of condition at all. So that's basically how we got to be working on that. And then you asked in terms of how hard it is to build remotely. Personally, I think that it's not hard at all. We always wanted to build a company remotely with my co-founder, even before coronavirus, because we like the freedom. We're not necessarily neither him nor I, based in one city and want to stay in one city. So we kind of wanted to have the liberty, freedom to go wherever. So that's what we did, and right now, obviously, everyone is doing that. But on our side, I think that it's going great. Like I of course, I would like to see the people that we're working with sometimes. Like it's there is you miss something, that's for sure. But then the upsides are also real. So to be honest, right now it's not really a problem.
Okay, so I have two questions, follow-up questions to this. One is, so just to clarify, this is what you're building is all software. You're using other people's hardware devices, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. We are a software company, and we will stay a software company.
Okay. And then the other question is, because I am a health freak myself, but I know a lot of people in the audience are probably thinking this right now. Why is it important to optimize glucose levels, and why should I care at all?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of reasons. So obviously the first one is that a lot of people are still getting type 2 diabetes, which is chronic disease, very problematic disease. People with type 2 diabetes lose on average 10 years in terms of average lifespan that they lose because of this condition. But not only, like once you start getting insulin resistant pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, like a metabolism that's not properly functioning, you basically increase your chance of getting a whole lot of other diseases like cancer. So many cancers are right now linked to metabolism, but also disease like Alzheimer's, which is increasingly called type 3 diabetes. So basically, really, the pillar of your health and longevity is maintaining a good metabolism, maintaining healthy blood glucose levels. So you really need to pay attention to that. Right now, just to give you a rough estimate, you have 88% of American people that have an unhealthy metabolism. So just to give you a rough idea of the extent of the problem. So that's the reason why we're starting with this vertical.
Okay. And that's crazy, actually. I mean, that it's not just conditions, problems that are very physical in nature. It's also mental health and problems with the brain that can be linked back to glucose levels. And I think it's something you really need to let that sink in for a second, because glucose is such a foundational basic thing, yet most people certainly eat mostly carbs and sugar. So
Yeah. No, I agree with you. That's pretty crazy. The crazy thing to me is that we have the technology to really help people understand the impact of what they're eating and their lifestyle in general on their body and their health, and we need to use it, because if you maintain a very long feedback loop, it's really not going to be optimal. You need to have short feedback loop. You need to do something and understand, is it good, is it bad? If it's bad, you need to course correct. That's the way to go. Obviously, the problem is not only knowing, the problem is also psychological and behavioral. No one believes that eating a donut is healthy. I mean, not a lot of people believe that, but still people eat that on a daily basis. So I believe the perfect and the optimal solution will be a mix of both. So a mix of technology, science, so to get really the data and the understanding, but also it has to have a behavioral and a psychological component, because you would fool yourself to think that if you just give the information to a person, then the person will comply. Everything shows you that it doesn't happen like that.
what's your take on insurers? I know there's a couple of up and coming insurers that want to penalize people that are unhealthy. You think that's
so yeah, I mean, there is a huge question around how do you incentivize prevention. The answer to this question differs from whether you have a single payer system or a multiple payer system. So in countries like France and, for example, Canada, you have a single payer system. In a country like the US, you have a multiple payer system. So the answer is a little bit different from one system to the other. But for example, in the US, the problem is that insurances are not incentivized to push people for prevention, because on average, people stay with an insurer for just a few years. So all of the supposed financial gains that the insurance would make if the person is super healthy. So this would be gained like 20, 30, 40 years from now. They will not see that. They will not see that because the person will be on a different insurance plan. So that's basically the problem in the US. But obviously, we need to find a way, because prevention is obviously the way to go. But it's not clear right now how this will go. I believe that it needs to come from the consumers and from the people requiring for more preventive measures. And you start to see it, especially right now in the coronavirus era, you start to see that coming.
And I don't know. It's like the problem I'm seeing with healthcare. Obviously, there's tons of problems, but one problem is that most people only act when it's too late, and yeah, it's difficult to incentivize them ahead of time. But yeah, another question I have for you is your personal health and fitness sort of longevity regime, to switch gears a little, because we both want to be, hundreds of years old. And for that, we have to
hopefully,
do certain things that are maybe a bit weird to most people, to the general public. Maybe you can talk to us about some of the things that you're doing to increase health span.
Yeah. So to be honest, right now, I am not doing a lot, especially right now, because, you always have, trade-offs. Sometimes, you only have a certain amount of energy and time in a day. So, I also believe in some periods of your life, you might have different types of priorities. But yeah, of course, I still try to do, the things that I can do. But so in terms of nutrition, I obviously try to maintain, optimal blood glucose levels. It's not so easy for me. I mean, my metabolism is not so great, but I do what I can to really prevent having too high of a blood glucose on a daily level. I don't think that there is, not that I don't think, there is no one size fits all. So people need to try and see what works for them. But for me, basically, it has to be pretty low in terms of carbs. I know some people do well with carbs, so I'm not saying no one should have carbs, but you should definitely see how you do with them. So for me, it's mainly fish, meat, with vegetable most of the time. I'm okay with eating pretty much the same thing every day. So for me, that works. And then in terms of exercising, right now I really got into zone 2 training. So basically, cardio with a low intensity for a pretty long time. Zone 2 is basically the zone at which you can still talk with someone. So it's really low intensity, and it's it's very good for longevity. I was not doing a lot of cardio before, so now I start to invest more time on it.
Do you do fast walking or slow running? What do you do? Cycling?
I do slow running. Yeah, I do slow running. I really enjoy it, to be honest. It's kind of also a meditative moment for me. Going for a long, slow run, and I feel that it's also great for for the joints. Like it's very low impact. I also do a lot of jump rope. So yeah, I spend more time doing what I'm not good at. I was doing a lot of weight training before. Right now with the pandemic, anyway, the most gyms were closed. But basically spent the last 7 to 10 years doing a lot of weight training and neglecting everything from stability, mobility, and cardio. And right now, I really start to think in a different way. I start to think you need to be hitting all of the pillars of physical fitness. You need to have adequate strength. Well, for me, it's okay. But you also need to have stability. You need to have aerobic efficiency. You need to have anaerobic fitness. So all of these things are very important. And a lot of people, you'll see that they're good at one or two of them, but they're not good at the two others. And most people would benefit from investing more time on the ones that they're not good at. Like the Ironman guy should maybe try to do some more weight training, and the powerlifter should try to go for 10Ks and 15Ks to just make sure that the heart is still working well. So that's my approach right now in terms of fitness. I'm also big on cold exposure. I've been doing a lot of cold showers. Wim Hof breathing, I also really like it. Helps me a lot with anxiety and stress. And I just enjoy the experience. Like I find it very very enjoyable. Like it's for me a very nice moment. Unfortunately, I don't have a sauna. I never had a sauna. So as soon as I can, I go, but it's not so often, to be honest. And yeah, so these are the kind of practices that I do on a like daily, weekly basis. And then there are some other stuff. I haven't been very diligent recently, but I believe that having frequent blood testing to make sure both on the disease prevention and keeping sure that you keep the nutrients and testosterone and hormones optimized is also very important. Right now, I think that people start to understand those ideas, but the solutions that people have are still very, very bad. Like when you do blood test, you don't understand the results. The lab test ranges are not necessarily telling you what is optimal and what is just okay. So there is a lot to be done there. I know that there are some solutions doing some cool stuff, but still there are a lot of opportunities for people building things in the space. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. Not so much, to be honest, but yeah, just trying to keep it light right now, because when you build a company, it's and whatever you're doing, sometimes you just have to be very focused on one thing. I don't necessarily believe in balance, like in terms of, I don't see that you need to be balanced all the time and do everything all the time. Sometimes I see life more as periods. Like, okay, I'll have, for example, a year where I really go all in on one thing, and then maybe I'll take some time off. I don't think that I'll take time off from the company, but maybe open up a little bit more time for health practices or thing like that later. But that's what I do right now.
Okay, nice. And just to clarify, the only exercise you're doing is the running. So you're not doing any body weight.
No. I'm doing. No, I'm doing. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I am doing weight training. I mean, body weight. Right now, here the gyms here in Montenegro are still closed, unfortunately. But I am doing body weight training. I like to go tilt failures on the classic exercise that you can find in a street workout park. I like to do that, because it's still very important to maintain the muscle mass.
Yeah. And one thing on the nutrition before I forget, there's also a fair amount of discussion as far as like high carb, low carb, high protein, low protein, as far as the blue zones, that I'm sure you're familiar with.
So it's a very good question, because right now the way I see nutrition is more as a religious debate rather than it is a scientific debate. That's really unfortunate, and that's, I believe, right now the limits of human cognition, that we just don't see the facts and we more see like our tribe. We like these type of people. So then, I don't know, my friends are vegans or whatever, I'll think vegan, or I'm into whatever, Joe Rogan and so on. I like meat and veggies, so it's kind of to sum it up. The way I see that, I believe the solution is simple, which is, it's not so simple, but let me explain what I believe is the solution. To agree or have a good consensus on what are good biomarkers, like what is a good blood, what does a good blood test look like? What does a good bio age or biological age test look like? What's a good level of testosterone? Do we agree on that? Yes, no, okay. And then just read the biofeedbacks, like try a diet, look at your glucose, look at your testosterone, look at basically the response of your body, and then you'll have the answer. Like if a person tells me, okay, I'm big on vegan diet, I eat 300, 400 grams of carbs every day, and that's perfectly healthy. If the person shows me that they have good glucose and good testosterone and so on, I'll be very happy. I'd be very happy. And I actually, we started working on what we're working right now, because we believe that there's no one size fits all. So the answer will be for sure that there's no one size fits all. Like you can see it already in the research papers. Like you can see that some people have a very bad glucose response to, for example, banana, and another person have the opposite response, like a very good versus a very bad. And then you change the food and you have the opposite. So it just shows you that there is a huge interperson variability. And now we have the tools for people to do self-experimentations, and we are entering a new era, the era of, let's not look at the study that tells you this is good for 80% of people. Let's just take within the food that are generally good and see how it applies to myself. I believe this is the future, where people start to, okay, here are the kind of 100 type of food that I can choose from, and then I can see. First of all, I can take from those the one that I like in terms of taste, because it's still good. It's still important to have good taste, and then you see how the body responds, and that's it. That's it. The problem is that food is emotional. It's like you have your tribe, you have your connections around food. So I believe right now that's a huge part of the problem, but we need to remove that if we really want to find what's optimal in terms of health.
And I think actually to go off of that, as far as exercise with the different pillars, the same holds true for exercise with the pillars, because like yoga and Pilates, for instance, are seen as very like feminine workouts, for instance. And maybe the bodybuilder won't necessarily do it because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I start to see more and more very impressive people that are extremely extremely strong, extremely flexible as well, and that's amazing to see. Like there is this guy who is fighting in the Asian UFC. I forgot the exact name of the championship, but his name is Alain Ngalani, and he's the biggest guy you'll ever see. Like he's like a bodybuilder, like Ulysses or Simeon Panda or whatever, like that. But he can also do the splits, even more than the splits, and he's just the most flexible guy that you will ever find. So he's you never find that. This is a bodybuilder physique, but more flexible than anyone, and that's crazy. And I believe we will start to see more and more of that, because first of all, people think that it's super cool, and usually if people think that it's cool, they will start to try to achieve that. But also people understand that, I mean, bodybuilding, the way that the pro are doing it, is the least healthy thing that you can do. It's like this is not healthy. I mean, we're talking performance enhancing drug and so on. Of course, this has nothing of a health practice, but also just working only one aspect of your physicality. This is not the way to age in a great way. You're not going to age in a great way if you cannot touch your feet. It's like, or if you cannot climb stairs without being out of breath.
Yeah, this is the other day I was thinking about this. When you basically getting up from the floor, that's something. There's this exercise called Turkish get-ups. You can look it up online, which is something that is so important. And we don't practice getting up from the floor. However, old people can't really do it.
Exactly. That's Peter Attia has this concept of the centenarian Olympic, and it's a very good concept, because it takes a reverse engineer approach. Like he says, how do I want to be when I'm 100 years old? I want to be able to do this, to do that, to pick up, take the groceries, climb the stairs, play with my grandchildren. So, okay, this is the type of things that I want to be able to do. Then how can I train to be able to do these things? And then you say, okay, so if I want to be there at 100, then where do I need to be at 90? Then where do I need to be at 80? And so on till your present age. And then you train like that. So you make sure that you maintain enough muscle, you maintain the proper heart, and so on. And I believe that this approach should be vastly popularized, so people can age in a great way.
Do you think? I was just thinking, in the same way that there's personalized nutrition. Maybe you do well on higher carbs. I maybe don't do as well with high carbs, whatever it may be. Do you think the same holds true maybe for exercise, in the sense that a certain person is healthier with a more a thinner build, and another person maybe is better with a bulkier build?
Yeah. Yes. I believe that no matter the topic, you will not find one size fits all. It's just the wrong way of thinking. Whatever whatever we're going to be talking about. So yes, I truly believe that some people might be made for long distance running. You see, very often you see that the pros in each type of exercise are usually built for that type of thing. So I believe that it's obvious that they're gonna do very well with this type of exercise if they practice it a lot. But still, I still believe that they should also try to do some of the other aspect. But usually the professional they do it like that. Like even the marathon runner, you see them in the gym and they try to maintain some type of muscle mass. But definitely, like you see that people are doing great in some activities and other are doing great at some other activities. And also, one thing that I think we will use a lot in the future is the biological age test. So it's an additional biofeedback where we can just basically understand whether you're going the right direction. It gives you a biological age. So are the practices that you're doing, your nutrition, your exercise, helping you age slower than your chronological age? So, the test will not lie again. If the test is really, validating on a scientific basis, which is increasingly the case, you can understand. So if you are 40 years old and the test gives you, 38, and 1 year later, you take another test and you find that you age less than 1 year. So for example, 38 and a half, you know that you're doing a great job. And I believe that we will start using that more and more, and it will guide how people eat and sleep and exercise. I'm very excited for this perspective.
For sure. And I'm really excited for what you're building with, what was the new name, the rebrand again?
Vital Health.
Vital Health. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to say the old name because, this will be published in like, probably 6 weeks or something. What would you say to the basically out of shape, overweight, unhealthy, unflexible, metabolically unhealthy person that really wants to get healthy now?
Yeah. So first of all, I'll say this person that, take it easy. It's all good. Like no need to stress over it, because once you start obsessing or stressing, you're losing. Okay. So take it easy. You can do it. The first thing that I would say is that you can do it. You will do it. Just one thing: start small. Start very small, and develop a habit, like a very healthy habit. And I would say usually the one that I think works well for people is walking. Just try walking. Try walking 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. It's already a lot, for people that are out of shape and not exercising. You get, 10, 15K steps per day. You're already, on a very good path. So just like that, the person could lose a significant amount of weight. Try to, reduce, obviously, a little bit of what you're eating. Try to increase the volume of what you're eating. So increase, for example, the amount of veggies. One gigantic bag of veggies is going to be 100 calories. So, be big on that. Put a gigantic bag of veggies. You're going to feel full. Then take whatever you want on the side, so something that still makes you a little bit happier, that you're not going to be depressed over. And just start like that. Do not be overly optimistic. Do not be overly ambitious. Don't think that you're going to lose it all before summer. This is the wrong way of doing it. You're going to start yo-yoing. You're going to start worsening your condition. I always like long-term approaches. Take 2 years to do it, or 1 year and a half. Build up some good habits. Enjoy the ride. Try to make sure that the thing that's most important is that you need to build a good momentum. You need to build a virtuous cycle, because it's easy to say, oh my God, you have pre-diabetes, you're obese, or you're not exercising, you need to fix it all. you will not fix it all in 1 month or something like that. So it's really about focusing on the bigger picture first, losing some weight. Normally, if the person loses some weight, very often their glucose levels get better just by this practice. And then when you lost the weight, you feel much better in your body, then you can start focusing on the rest. You can start really trying to optimize your glucose level. You can start working a lot on flexibility. You can start, really, for example, going after building some more muscle. But I see that the mistake people are doing is that they get a burst of motivation to begin with, but they don't understand that this motivation will not last for a year and a half that it's going to take for them. So what's important is to build the right system that will enable them to really get the long-term result. And I believe in that. I think this is the right advice to give to people. But once again, I don't think that one advice will work for people. So maybe just the meta advice, let's say, is just to try to understand your psychology. Try to understand what works for you. This is in the end the best advice there is.
What's driving you, Mehdi? You're so passionate and intense about health and about longevity. What's driving you?
Yeah, that's a good question. In terms of health, I have always been super into optimizing my health. Like, I remember when I was super young, it was not clear to me why we're going to the doctor just when we have a problem. Like, I never understood this concept. Like, I was like, okay, so now I'm not sick, but why can't I go to improve or make sure that I will not get sick later on? Because I was always depressed when I was getting a flu or something like that, and I really wanted to make sure that I will not get it again the next year. So I grew up with this idea, and obviously then I discovered everything related to health optimization and biohacking. So it was really something that made a lot of sense for me. But really, once I understood that some people are working, for example, in longevity, and they're doing some great stuff, and that we could reverse aging. So once I understand the extent that these things could mean for humanity, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, can you imagine like living for hundreds of years? And just right now, when you imagine the current world we live in, imagine showing that to a person 500 years ago. They wouldn't understand anything. And so to me, I really embrace the future, and I'm a very, very optimistic person. I'm a long-term optimist. So on the short term, I understand that we have a lot of challenges, but in terms of humanity, I believe in us. I believe that we will at some point live for thousands of years. That's some of the things that I believe. Maybe not right now, but when you see that the potential of what's going to happen in the next 10, 15, 20 years, I just want to make it happen faster. That's what's really a huge motivation for me, which is to really push progress and really try to embark everyone in this better future that we can build.
Amen. What will you say to, because I'm obviously in the same kind of longevity tech bubble, what will you say to people that are like, well, longevity, that's for white tech bros, or that's for rich guys? I don't care about that. Why would I care about that?
No. This is a wrong way of thinking. Like, right now, pretty much everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people around the world have access to antibiotics. A lot of people have access to what was unbelievable 50 years ago. So really, like, the innovation that happened on the fringe then get passed on other people. And you need to understand that aging is the mother of all diseases. So literally, on the planet would benefit from us having a better understanding of the underlying condition. So it's really doesn't make sense to me, people that say, why are we doing that? Like, when you have a cancer or if you have Alzheimer's, you would like a cure, you would like something to not have this condition anymore. And what people are doing on longevity, they're working exactly on that. They're working on the meta disease that aging is, and they're trying to help us, reverse it, potentially completely remove it. But I don't understand why people wouldn't like it. Like, some people like to suffer, but on my side, I think that it's a little bit of suffering might be good for some purposes, but other than that, it's really the understanding that everyone will benefit at some point. You need to have people innovating on the fringe before the innovation is being passed down and passed to everyone else. And on top of that, the fight against aging is really a fight against suffering.
What about overpopulation, though? Because people are going to live even longer.
Yeah, many responses to that. First of all, right now we have a problem that is that in most Western countries, we do not have enough people. Fertility rates are dropping sharply. It's right now the huge problem. We don't have a problem of overpopulation, but let's say that we get people to live 250, 200 or whatever. Then you need to imagine that, first of all, Earth is not so densely populated as people believe. Like, for example, getting 1 billion people in the US would give approximately the density of France. It's not, France is not like, it's not so densely populated, So people have a misconception about the space we have. And yeah, I think that this is a first answer to the question. But then you need to imagine that once we start entering the era of sci-fi tech, then we have the stars, we have the cosmos to explore. We obviously will become at some point multiplanetary species if we don't blow ourselves up before, because existential risk is also a very important topic right now. It's Toby Orr, the author of The Precipice, claims that we basically have 1 in 6 chance of blowing ourselves up during this century, because basically our technology evolved exponentially, but our wisdom did not. So right now we're still, are on a very dangerous path. So we need to pay a lot of attention to that. Everything related to nuclear weapons, pandemics, with viruses that could be much more problematic than the coronavirus. But anyway, let's stay optimistic and imagine that we make it. Space exploration will have to become a very important part of the solution there. So yeah, to sum it up, is that right now we have a problem that people are not having enough babies in a lot of developed countries and in the West. Countries are less populated than people believe, and we have a lot of space left. And then space exploration. So I think that it should not be a huge problem.
Not to mention that people will work much longer and they will create much more value, which means everyone will have much more money.
Yeah, totally. Like all of these problems, they will have solutions, but we're not gonna just keep on living 80 or 85 years if we can live much longer, just so we don't have to face these problems. These problems will have solutions. Like finding food, we will find other ways to create food and so on. Of course, the stuff becomes complicated when you have innovation that happen, like too fast. If stuff happens too fast, then other fields do not have enough time to adapt, and that might be a problem. But I believe in our ability to solve the problem that we will have. But I also would love that young people start working on those big problems, climate, space, longevity, those big energy, energy production. All of these things are super important. And I see more and more young people very interested in those topics. So it gives me hope.
Yeah, for sure. And this is really like why I started the podcast. Initially, it was to explore and just talk to cool people, frankly. But now it's more and more going toward, I want to make, white mirror, media. I want to, have, tech positive storytelling in the world. I want to, make people excited about the future, think positively about the future. So then they go out and build the future.
Exactly. Yeah. Beautiful message. This is definitely the type of idea that motivates my work and my life in general. And I think that we need to all of these people need to unite forces, and we need to be actively working on building a better future and addressing all of the problems that there are currently in society, and not just closing our eyes. Like a lot of the problems that we have right now, they need to be fixed, and some people need to be working on that, and money need to be invested on those people that are going after those problems. And that's the way we make it. That's really the way.
100%, man. 100%. I want to be respectful of your time, Mehdi. Any parting words? And of course, we want to plug Vital Health, your startup.
For sure. Well, if people want to take care of their health, optimize their health, so right now we are starting with blood glucose levels. So you can sign up for early access so right now the website will be in the I guess in the show note, but at lifetizer.io. Other than that, I have a weekly newsletter about all of these type of topics called The Long Game. So if you're interested, you can check it out. And then let's all build a better future.
For sure, man. And we'll link it all below, of course. Thanks so much for listening. If you like the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or Spotify, and share the episode with someone you know. It would really help me out a ton. New podcast coming out every Monday. See you next week.